It's 70 days since I started my self-sufficiency project. 70 days since casting off. I think I can officially announce that the novelty has worn off. Fortunately, I've been distracted from feeling sorry for myself by the COP27 negotiations that got underway this week. Looking at the horrendous implications of climate change on our food, and suddenly eating stew again for dinner doesn't seem too much of a hardship. One of the things I'm always banging on about is that what I'm doing here, feeding myself exclusively off my own smallholding, isn't extraordinary, it's normal. Half the world's food comes from small farms. Many of them have fewer than 2 hectares. Now, most of those enterprises are in the global south, where they are most vulnerable to climate change, and yet they're getting less than 2% of the world's climate change funding. The International Fund for Agricultural Development, or IFAD, is part of the United Nations. They need to be heard at COP27, as it's organisations like theirs that will have to manage the fallout from climate change. They fund bottom-up farming projects all over the world to improve farms and farm livelihoods. They're fighting hard to get recognition for the role that women play in agriculture. The stark reality is that if small farms produce half the world's food now, and in the future they can't, then who feeds the people? Where do we all live? Will small farms be rescued by capital-driven Western-style factory farming? I don't think so. Resilience is the buzzword at COP27, and believe me, we're all going to need it. The IFAD are actually following my project. I suppose that everyone's got to have something to laugh about. And I'll be doing occasional podcasts for them throughout the year. You can listen to the first of those by clicking on the link in the description for this film. But my shtick today is that arresting world hunger, gender inequality and climate change only works if small farms work. And that includes small farms in the UK. Just for you guys, I schlepped all the way down to Cornwall this week, so I could introduce you to someone who is already making ethical, regenerative, small-scale agriculture a reality right here in the UK. Not far from Truro, on 170 acres, and using organic and permaculture principles, this farm has gone from one which used to put 300 tonnes of carbon into the atmosphere to one that sequesters 350.
We see food production here as a byproduct of a really, really healthy ecosystem. When we ask the question, how can we stop this emission? So the simple answer was stop cultivating, stop ploughing. So we did that, and we just grow grass now, grass and trees. We go from here down to the valley, up the other side to the hill, then down to the next little valley there. And then that blue sort of arrangement, that is a neighbouring farm which has been turned into a solar farm, built with fairly generous subsidies here. Yeah. All sold into long-term power purchase agreements instead of locally. And critically, the owner, the dividends all go out to a German pension company. And while in no way am I a communist, I think the idea that we've got this amazing natural resource in our sunshine here, and all of that going straight out of the, never mind the county, out of the country, yeah, is mad. Mm. You know, that is like capitalism gone mad. Mm.
Chris is well known in regenerative agriculture circles. He's unapologetic. Power needs to be generated locally, and so does food.
Everyone's blaming Putin for our current economic woes. If we don't have control of the essentials of life, I think we're in real trouble. We're in hock to other people that we don't need to be.
Chris Jones stopped cultivating the soil here and hasn't looked back since. Nature is in charge. He rents out land to allotments where families grow their own food. He has a new ethical dairy project on board.
Colin Tudge said at the very first ORFC, he said that farming has gone from an exercise in applied ecology into one of applied chemistry. We've got to get away from that. It's not just killing the soil we stand on, it's killing the seas that surround us, it's killing the animals that live here, and I imagine it's not very good for us either.
Cattle play a key part in the ecosystem on this farm, and unfashionably, Chris Jones believes that talk of veganism and doing away with animal farming has not been properly thought out.
We really worry about, as a society, about the climate impacts of cattle and so on. Now, our cattle here eat grass. We're standing on their food supply. This is all they get through the year. Perennial pasture. Now, underneath me, these are fields that we used to grow grain indifferently because of our climate. Now it's growing really, really good grass. And underneath my feet, we have doubled the soil organic matter, which is like saying we've doubled the soil carbon over the last 10 or 15 years through this way of farming. Not just that, we've increased the soil biodiversity because we're farming organically. We're not pumping on any nitrates which burn out various critters. We've got lots of fungi and bacteria, let alone all the big things like worms and beetles and what have you. And this is all helping us get more carbon away from the atmosphere where it's causing the problem and down to the soil.
I thought that when I started on the 1st of September that I just wanted to get through the whole year only eating stuff from my small holding. What I didn't know was that I wanted to do it well, and I'm not doing it terribly well at the moment, and that's because of time. And this beautiful vegetable garden, which I started in the late winter, went all the way through the spring, all the way through the summer, looking after it really, really well. As soon as the project actually started, this garden got abandoned and it's now a mess. And there is still loads of food in here, but I want to do it well. And whenever I come out here, it's slightly disheartening. And the issue is time. I've got jobs that have got to be done every single day. So milking, feeding the animals in the morning, sorting things out in the afternoon, mucking out, feeding the pigs again in the evening. That's about 3 hours, doing all those things. Plus I've got to cook everything from scratch. I've got to prepare all my meals, everything from scratch. And I've got to work. I mean, I do a real job. I work 22 hours a week. And that's got to be done. And I've got to run teenagers around and pick them up and drop them off and go shopping and all of those other things. And there just is so little time. And what time there is, I'm not really utilising enough or well enough, mainly because I'm tired. And so I want to be fitter, and I want to try and do better with some of these projects. But these are really tasty, and this is what I make my veggie stew with, basically. Turnips and carrots, beans, leeks. I'm feeding them to the turkeys. Turkeys! But they're getting all over these plants here, and so every day I'm coming out and picking them. And it's so mild. Normally we'd have had a frost and they'd be dead by now. So the first thing I want to show you is last time Rose showed me how to make some cheese. Rosie, because I'm running out of my cheddar. That's my cheddar. And she showed me how to make this lactic acid cheese. And I made some. This is not what it's supposed to look like. I think I left it too long, and then when I put it in the mould, there was too much whey. It's getting slightly smelly. It's supposed to have a beautiful mould on the outside, and it hasn't got that. I'm going to call it Max's Mouldy, because I don't think it deserves a better name at the moment. It smells slightly, I mean, we might be filming me dying now of food poisoning. I mean, it tastes like a very powerful, very acid, soft cheese, the same consistency as Boursin probably. Doesn't have garlic and chives in it, but it's quite acidic. It's nice. It might kill me, but it's nice. So I'm going to do better with that this week, and I'm also going to try and make some of Rose's kefili, which is going to be interesting. But that wasn't a complete disaster. I was actually thinking that was going to be not so good. I think it'd be nice with some of this. This is blitzed green tomatoes and green chilies stuck in a sterilised jar with some rosé vinegar. It's really crunchy and very, very hot, chili hot. It goes well with all sorts of things. It probably goes quite well with this cheese. So that's very nice. Right. The other thing I wanted to show you was stuff I can't do without. This is beef dripping. I'm using quite a bit of that at the moment. It's my only oil that I've got. That's invaluable. This is my plum. I'm going to use the other end of this knife. This is my plum jam. I haven't let it get really, really thick because it was all just reducing and reducing in the pan. I thought, oh my God, I haven't got very much. But I use it in things to make them taste nice, rather than stick it on bread or whatever. It's made without any added pectin. It's made without sugar. It's got honey in it, and I didn't want it to just taste of honey, and it does taste a little bit of honey. It tastes like plums and honey. But that's really useful for making things taste nice. This is grape syrup that I made out of our grapes. I'm going to save most of it. I'm going to save most of it for the summer for flavouring ice cream. It's incredibly grapey and really, really tart. And that doesn't have any sugar or honey or anything in it. Just relies on the natural sugars from the grapes. This is a chutney I've made. This is green tomato and another veg chutney. That's made with our homemade vinegar. I'll get some of that in a minute. Show you our vinegar. It's really nice.